need it, you need it. Like,
Right.
you know. It,
Oh, my first time I've ever done this.
You filled out the card?
No, I just didn't hit record.
Oh my god.
That's the first time that this has ever happened in my life. Woo. We're going to do it over again. God damn it. And we are back with another Black Window Cream podcast. New episode every single Wednesday and Sunday. I'm your host, Ben Haggerty, aka Ben Real vs. World. Today we're going to do something a little different. Dave, where are you going?
Well, I have a haircut, and we could have done this before the appointment, but we ended up just doing a lot of other things. So now we're running up against time.
So what we did was we phoned a friend. My boy Mike's about to pull up to the function and join us for a quick conversation about the importance of demo reels. Why do we want to do that? What made us think about that earlier?
Well, we were talking about websites, and we were talking about doing an episode about websites and their importance, and I think a reel is a strong point in that. And then Mike was coming, and Mike's reel is insane. So
that is true.
So he definitely would know. And also in his podcast, he talks about how he thinks a reel is like the best way to land clients.
Right.
So
yeah,
he can talk about that more. But
he's literally standing right behind the camera, but we're going to bring him in a second. We wanted to record the intros real quick before Dave left for his haircut. So we'll get to that in a second, right after this ill-ass intro that we created a couple weeks ago. Right, motherfucking now! Welcome to the Morning Roast, a place where you will get the most info from a deep dive into the topics that really need life with your host Ben and Dave, coming to you live today. Grab your cup of joe and take some fucking notes, you bitch. We're back. I'm gonna say the same joke I said before. We just recorded for like 3 or 4 minutes, and then I realized that I didn't hit record on the fucking audio. Super fail on my
practice. Practice make perfect.
It's the first time I did that on this podcast. I'm feeling like an idiot right now. But anyway, what we were talking about, my first joke I made was that Dave cut his hair.
Yeah.
Just way better the first time around, but look at him. He looks so sharp now. Yeah, you got a hat and all that. That's cool. Mike, hi.
Hey.
This is your second time on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Honored to be back.
The first time we did it in Lauren's office, and it was a little bit more girly. Yeah,
prettier.
Way prettier. So, but I feel like this is also a step up for me.
Better lighting.
Way better lighting. I don't even know if I put lights on yours. I might not have.
I don't think so.
Maybe one softbox or something.
Natural.
But Mike is in town. You had a day off today, or half a day off. I don't even know. Do you ever take days off? Because when I saw you outside, you were still on a call talking to someone about a script.
Yeah. Well, yeah. As in this job, you're never taking a day off. You really, unless you're like out of cell service.
Right. Which sometimes is pretty painful or very awesome.
So good.
So you've been traveling nonstop. You were just in India, and we were just talking about it.
Before that,
you were in Europe before India.
Yeah, I did 6 weeks back to back, 4 jobs back to back.
And you just had a child.
And I just had a kid, but I've only seen him for a month, 3 months of his life. So
right, that's insane.
I think I still have a child.
Yeah, shout out to Chelsea if she's still here with us. And I don't know if that kid took her and just moved off to where else would you move in Canada? That's doper than where you guys live. I'm just thinking of somewhere that's without of cell reach.
I don't know. It's pretty good. We're pretty close to being kind of out of cell range. It's a pretty good spot.
Yeah, so they might not be listening to this podcast right now.
You never know.
They moved on from me, bro.
Maybe. Proud child, though. He might be watching.
He probably is.
3 months old. He's already getting educated.
It's so cool. I feel like it's tight. Please listen to the last podcast episode because we tell this entire story. But it was cool because it was ending. You ended the story by talking about you were about to have a kid.
Yeah.
And then he lived in LA, moved back to Canada, had his kid there, and literally has been traveling nonstop. But it's pretty, I don't know. He was just stopped in to see us in the office. And then I was like, I'm going to take advantage of this situation right now and get you on the podcast because your reel is really, really good. And I think that it's important to talk about the importance of reels.
Yeah.
And kind of explain why. I'll share a link to your reel in the description, but I know I said it on the first time we tried to do this, that I think your reel is the best reel I've ever seen in my life.
You're making me blush, bro.
Sorry, dog. It is the way you structure your shit, but also the content that you shot is fucking incredible. So you've been all over the world. You just, like you said, you just did Europe and fucking India for 6 weeks. You're about to go fly to Hawaii and where else?
New York, Houston, Baltimore, Vegas.
in the next like 2 weeks.
Yeah, 10 days.
10 days. Then he's coming back to LA. See me.
To come hang out.
Come hang out. Bring the baby. Let us meet the baby.
Yeah.
Dude's a traveling fiend and shoots with like massive brands and shit. You'll hear about it in the podcast. But anyway, the importance of demo reels. I personally have never really had a demo reel. I made one once, and it was for a specific, like literally to get one job. Like I needed to do it just for that client.
Yeah, you
right?
need them when you need them.
So, but why did you make the last one you did?
Well, first, in my world right now, there's 2 types of reels.
Okay.
So there's like my demo reel, which you'll see on my website. And then there's like my commercial reel, which is probably used more often than my demo reel right now, which is basically just 30-second versions of everything I've done, kind of all lined up. And like it's called a wire drive. And so basically, you know, they're for 2 totally different types of jobs. So I have like, for example, this job I'm doing right now, I used my wire drive reel because it's through an agency and all that stuff, and that's how you get those kind of jobs.
Right.
But like, for example, I do a lot of work with Mercedes, and it's like direct to client, and that's where, you know, they'll look at my reel on my website. So there's like, reels are super important, and you gotta know how to build your reel, I think, is really important. I'm still figuring it out, but I'm learning a lot more and more because this is a topic that I'm dealing with every day in my life right now, especially right now. How to build it, what niche to focus on, what it should look like, what types of reels you need, because I believe you do need more than one.
Right.
And, you know, how to make sure that it hits the demographic you're hoping it'll hit.
So do you think someone in the Facebook group, Black and No Cream groups, was talking about if editors should have a reel? Do you think that it's important for every lane of creative to have a reel? So
especially for like an editor, like editor, DOP, I'd say those are like VFX artists. Those are pretty important for a reel because, for example, like on a lot of the bigger jobs I do, I choose my editor, I choose my DP, and I choose my VFX artist.
Right.
I'm not going to go source through all their work because, for example, like when you're even like a drone pilot, for example, I just shot for a drone pilot yesterday to come on this 10-day shoot. I'm not going to go look through all their work and try to find 3 of their drone shots in each commercial they do. I need it all in one place, and I need to know what they think is their best stuff,
right? Because
that's how they're going to work on my job. So that's what, like, for example, my reel too, that's what I believe is my best stuff. And if a client doesn't agree, we're not meant to be.
Right.
So like an editor, for sure, I want to see like how they like to edit, what they're stoked on, because that's what they're going to be most passionate doing. And I want to hire someone for what they like to do because they think they're good at that, or they are good at that. That's what they do, rather than hiring someone and getting them to do something that they don't really know how to do. Like that's like me saying, hey, can you edit this thing, but I want you edited like this person.
Right.
Like everyone hates that. Right. And like I won't get the best product of you. I want, hey, can you edit this thing? I want you to edit it how you would edit it, and we'll collab on that.
Right.
That's why a reel is important for a lot of people that are like kind of in the service part of the production, because, you know, it's a lot of people like me and our types of jobs that we're trying to hire these people. And I don't want to go through 30 minutes of work.
Right.
I need to see it all at once in like 60 seconds.
Right. Please let me know exactly what you do as fast as fucking possible.
I'm a director. I do mainly
No, I'm saying
oh,
that's what I want.
I was just like, didn't we cover this?
Would that be a
Didn't we do a whole podcast on this? I was like, fuck.
No, I mean, like, if you're making something, instead of making 30 minutes, you go.
That's my message. Yes. Yes, that's what I just talked about for the last 5 minutes.
I'm a director. Yeah, please tell me about your childhood. And no, I think it's crucial to do that. And I also think that as a creator, right? If you're a director of photography, if you're an editor or whatever, if you're a colorist and you want to show, stimulate,
yeah,
like
colorist
what you do.
is another huge thing. Yeah,
but I think your main goal is to think as if you are a client that's looking for you, right?
Well, there's two sides of the coin.
Yeah, you're right.
Because like you can build it. That's why I think you need more than one reel.
Agreed.
Like if you want to start shooting a lot of real estate videos, make a real estate reel, because that's going to hit those people hard.
Yeah.
They're not going to want to look through all your other stuff, your car stuff or whatever you got, if you're trying to get real estate videos. Like, you know, if you're doing an aerial stuff, like you want to make an aerial reel. If you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like if you picking niches. So that's another thing I think is important. So like my other side of my reel, which kind of affects both, but the one I'm talking about where it's like all the 30-second cuts of everything. So when I like bid on a job or get bid on a job, like a lot of times the production company will send out like 4 or 5 of my jobs, and that's called my reel.
Right.
So it's like the same terminology, but it's a totally different approach. And they pick and choose what 30-second jobs back to back that fit the job that I'm bidding on best. Right. But yeah, like that's important to build a niche for that as well, because at first I thought, oh, I want to shoot everything. I want to do cars. I want to do fashion. I want to do this because I want to get all the jobs. I want to do everything. I don't want to limit myself.
Right.
And if you spread yourself thin like that, especially in that side of the reel, it works in both sides, but especially that world, like the agency world, it's like you need at least 3 or 4 of the same thing to get one of those jobs. 3 or 4
of the same type. Like if
like
you're
genre.
specifically if you're trying to target real estate, you need to have like 3 or 4 examples.
So say for example, like I do a lot of car stuff.
Right.
So for me, a lot of my reels car heavy, but I would love to do comedy. Like I really want to get into comedy. It's a goal of mine. But I can't just do one comedy shoot and then hope that'll get me a job. That will never happen in that world, because you need to focus on your niche and you need to build that niche, and you will get more work if you do it that way in that world. Whereas before I thought it was the other way around. I'll spread myself thin.
Right.
And it just doesn't really work that way. And I believe it's on the other side too, for like a creator that's dealing a lot with direct to client. Like you want to be the king of what you do.
Right.
That's going to help you get the type of work you want to get. Now, I'm not saying don't not do everything, but I would me personally, I believe taking it step by step, like, okay, I'm going to tackle a lot of car stuff first. I'm going to become like, I want to build a reel that like I'm the king of car stuff. And then I want to do fashion, but not just one of each. Like take it, own it, and like innovate in that genre.
Right. Yeah. And I think if you look at it too, I have 2 questions for you. One to kind of show an example, like Shannon, our homie Shannon, she was on the podcast as well. Shannon Griffin, she has like
fire editor.
Fire editor. She's great. So it may be wise, and I don't know if she does this or not, but to have different forums like ready to go, always have those assets created to say, like, if someone hits her up, she's done a lot of music videos.
Video reel.
Have a music video reel. This is just my editing for music videos. Because
commercial reel.
Yeah, if it's a hodgepodge of everything, like I might be trying to book you to shoot interviews or edit interviews, but you're just showing me all this fast, cutty, like trippy shit with VFX and all this stuff, and it's for music videos, and I'm kind of looking at it like, I don't know if they can just do simpler stuff. I don't know. Maybe that's not her thing. Maybe she only does this stuff. You know what I mean? If that was her case. But
100%.
To be able to divide and conquer, it helps open up a lot of doors if you have the means to get the content. So I guess that brings me to my second question, which the first one wasn't even a question. It was just following up.
Rhetorical.
So do you think there's ever times, and have you ever done this, where you'll take a job or maybe go out of your way for something to add to your reel, like a specific thing, like say you were doing a car reel and you knew you needed like this one specific major shot of a car. Would you sacrifice potentially getting paid by a client just offering like, hey, could I go do this? I'll get you the footage and blah, 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 for the means of like building a reel? Or do you, I mean, at this point you've done so much, but in your earlier stages.
No, you never stop.
Right.
So I talked a bit about this kind of in the last podcast, and I actually was saying that I'm going home to do this. So I'm kind of glad we're actually bringing this up, because I actually followed through with my word, and it's a huge thing. Like I know all these I follow all these directors on Instagram, social media, all that stuff. Big directors that are still doing, so we call them spec spots.
Right.
So a spec spot's basically, if you don't know, it's like you do a fake commercial to build your reel.
Right.
Because your reel's that important that people like, so the company I'm with now, Step, like they give me money and we make a spec spot out of their own money just to help build my reel, because eventually it'll make them money. Like it'll pay back.
Yeah.
So we do fake car commercials or whatever just to help build it so that I get the jobs they want me to get and that I want to get.
Because sometimes what you currently have shot, maybe like a quick, like
it's not enough.
A year ago, you might have shot it. Yeah, it's not enough. And it doesn't show you. Maybe you didn't even have the budget to do it. So what happens if you invest 30 grand into your idea and go shoot something that's 30K worth?
And you don't have to invest a lot of money.
Right.
You can pick simple ideas. Like a lot of the stuff I do is like simple logistically, but creative.
Right.
And you'll see a lot of that on the Facebook page, like creators doing stuff for lower budgets, higher budgets, everything. But the stuff's unreal. Like your guys' Dutch Brothers competition you just did, like watching some of those videos, it's like, man, I know these guys aren't putting a lot of their own money in it because why would they?
Right.
But this shit's amazing.
Yeah.
Like this stuff looks like $100,000 commercials.
Right.
Like it's unreal.
Yeah.
So yeah, never think you need the money. Shoot natural light, saves you a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, shoot on whatever camera. Like if you got Canon 5D, that shit's gonna look just as good as a Red if you know how to use it properly.
Right.
You know, and just have like good creative or good talent, good ideas. That's what gets you far.
Right.
So basically, like, yeah, what we were just talking about, I like a lot of jobs, you don't get to do what you really want to do because there's a client, there's an agency involved, there's a lot of moving parts that kind of stop you. You got to do what's best for them.
Yeah.
It's usually how it ends up. So that's why these spec spots, they allow you to do what you want to do, and usually that's what gets you the jobs that end up being you doing what you don't want it. You know what I mean? You can't do what you want to do.
Right.
But you need those trigger points in your reel. So whether that's in your combined demo reels, so if you go on my website, you'll see my combined demo reel, where it's like a mixture of all the stuff I've done, and it's supposed to be just really triggering and like visual and immersive. Or you'll see like my wire drive reel, which is like my best work cut down into shorts. So having that in both of those places is super important. That's how you get work.
I remember when I moved out here, I had only done some real estate stuff in Iowa, and I was like, man, I need to make some money. I was like, what if I shoot some real estate shit out here? And I remember meeting with a homie, Chloe. She was a real estate agent, and she had just started mentoring underneath this dude. I don't remember his name. I know his name is Ben. I don't remember his full name. But she was telling me about how he invested I think 35 grand into a real estate video that he was making. And this was when real estate videos were just starting to become, you know what I mean? Accessible. And he spent 35 grand on it and hired families. He hired had a party scene. He
shot it like a commercial.
He made this house he showed you every option of a life you could live in this house.
Wow.
With 35 grand. And that shit sold.
That's a lot to invest.
But he made $1 million.
There you go.
Sold I don't know how much the house was worth, like 50 million.
So the
or
same concept for a real estate agent comes for a creator.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I'll invest, like I'm doing this, working on this feature still. I think we talked about it last time. I was just about to go shoot in Africa, so we went and shot. But, I invest a lot of money in that project, and I'm hoping it's going to return in the end. It's the same thing. I invest a lot in my specs. I invest in a lot of short films.
Even time. It doesn't necessarily have to be physical cash.
No, exactly. Any investment's an investment.
Right.
So whether that's money, time, using homie deals or favors from homies, that's time is money. Like everything costs something.
Absolutely.
You got to pay back the favor one day. It's going to cost you.
Right.
So, that investment's huge, but also a lesson I did learn about building your reel, is when you do it properly. Like I've done some that were half-assed and just got thrown in the trash after.
What makes a half-assed?
I just wanted to do it, like more the better, the more the better. So I did 6 in 1 week. Like I did all these simple kind of ideas. A lot of them were comedy when I was really trying to get comedy going. And after in the edit bay, you're like, fuck, I should have just done one that week.
Right.
Half of these aren't going to work because they're too, I didn't put enough time and effort into them. I spread myself too thin. I should have written the idea, thought about it for a while, not just hey, this is kind of a funny idea, let's shoot it. Write out a script, look at it, and be okay, how do I imagine, treat it like a job.
Yeah.
Actually do it properly. And rather than doing, having 3 done like that are mediocre, you have 1 that's amazing, and then you just do another one that's amazing, and you just slowly chip. You don't want to rush it. You don't want to rush a reel.
Right.
It takes a while to grow. You'll grow your reel for the rest of your life.
How long do you take trying to find the music, the perfect song for a reel?
Well, the way I edit everything is I edit the images first. The music's the last thing I put in.
Really?
I do images first, I do sound design, then I throw in a track. And then I adjust to the track. But I build the imagery out first, so it tells a story, whether it is a story or I need it to tell a story. So like my reel, you'd notice like a lot of things kind of like connect and throughout, and it has a book ending and all that stuff. So, and then I'll throw a track on it, and that gives me the time to find the track while I'm editing it too, to find the vibe, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of tracks like are from inspiration of stuff I've seen that I really liked, or like that gave a good tone that I'd like to have, and I try to find something similar.
I always find myself starting with music or listening, trying to like catch the vibe from that and then build off of that. But I think it's also maybe I have a rough idea of, I mean, I've cut
Everyone's
other
different.
reels. Yeah, it's
Everyone cuts differently.
Yeah.
You can edit a thing 100 different ways.
So if someone's starting out right now, what would you encourage them to think about while they're creating their reel?
If you're just getting going, even if you're not just getting going, because I feel like I'm just getting going right now when it comes to my reel, just learning. For me, the biggest things I've learned recently is picking a niche and becoming a king in that niche. And enjoying that niche. Like, don't just pick it because it makes money. Don't just pick it because many other people are doing it. Like, you gotta love it. You gotta breathe it. You gotta want to do it all the time.
Right.
So start there, and yeah, invest that time, whether that's just time, whether it's just money. I hate spending money, but so I invest a lot of time, and when I have to put the money in, you just got to put the money in. But yeah, you live and breathe it when you build your reel, and then grow from there and think about it. Like, really dig down and be like, and just write it down. Just be like, where do I see myself? Where do I see my work being shown? What are the kind of clients I see myself working for? Do I see myself like, doing a lot of direct to client work, or whether that's through an agency or what? And like, what are they going to want to see that also is something I want to do? Like, make sure those two match up.
Right.
Like, you don't want to start your reel for someone else. It's got to start with you. It's got to start for you. But also think about the receiving end, and making sure those two connect, right? So you got give and take a little bit, because, you need to be somewhat commercial. Like, we were just talking about that competition you did. The video that won looks like a commercial, where some of the other videos are absolutely amazing and so creative. But, it's the one that won was the one that actually looked like it belonged, like it came out of the brief from a client.
Right.
Like, it looked like it came from a pitch deck.
Yeah.
And very creative as well, but it was, on brand.
Yeah, hit the colors, hit the vibe, made sense.
All that stuff. So yeah, it's like, I know I said don't build it for someone else, but there is a little bit of a happy medium balance. But it's just having the intention while you're doing it for yourself, that that there's a receiving party, and like what's going to trigger them as well.
Well, and I think at the same time too, it's like you in this business, if you're trying to make money by working with clients, you already need to be in the business of catering to them. You know what I mean? So yes, you want to build it for yourself and have your own style. And I think naturally you will do that. And you eventually become really good at adding your own style to their notes. Sometimes their notes may suck and you have to cave and do some dumb shit you didn't want to do, but you'll still build and bake your style into that. You know what I mean? So it's like, you do want to favor them a little bit, but it becomes natural. It should be like a natural give and take.
Yeah. It's like, I almost see it more in this, like if I take my reel, for example, that's on my website. Like when I was building it, I knew I wanted something really high energy, something that also dropped and kicked back up, because it triggers people's interest. I knew that I wanted to include a lot of car stuff, because I know that's my niche and that's where I'm gonna like win a lot, and I know, and that's what I love to do. It's a part of what I love to do, and also I'm like more of like an emotional director. So as much as I wish I could be a comedic director, I'm not. Like I'm kind of they call it a heart trigger in the agency world. So I do a lot of like stuff that's kind of heart triggering. Yeah. Triggers heartstrings, I guess you'd say. So it's like light emotion. Yeah. So I focus on that a lot, because it kind of tends to be the style I shoot in anyways. But I also know that's what people want from me, and that's what my niche is. And so between that and car stuff and like underwater stuff, that's where I'm going to win my job. So I feel it heavy on that side, knowing that the people that are receiving it are looking at me for that, rather than if I filled it with comedy, because I know I want to go in comedy, it's probably going to suck, and it's not going to have the results that I wanted to have.
Do you think this will be the last question? Do you think there's a time limit of how long your reel should last? I know everyone usually tries to do a year recap kind of reel, 2019 reel, or they'll just change it to say 2019 reel and it has some shit from the year before. But do you think that it's important to constantly be switching it up? Or do you think that once you find something that's kind of rock solid, you can rock it for a little bit of time and focus more so on your jobs?
Well, I've definitely rocked something for a long time. Like if you look at the last 4 reels I've done, I probably usually do them once every 2-3 years. If you look at the last 3 or 4 I've done, there's quite a few shots that have been in all of them. I used the same song for 3 of them. I finally just switched up the tone in the music. Not saying that's what to do, but that's also just because of time management. But yeah, that's a tough one, because you want the reel to, I don't really know how to answer that question.
Well, and the other thing that sucks about it, if you do change it, is like if, say, a client's sharing your reel and then all of a sudden that link goes dead because you just swapped out another one, you kind of hurt yourself in that sense. Like if you change it 2 months later.
No, yeah, always keep the same link.
Right.
100%. And you want it fresh, of course. It's got to be modern. It's got to be in today's age. You want to keep updating with all your new stuff, because if you're not getting new stuff that's not reel worthy,
right,
then you should probably like kind of relook at what you're doing, because you want to always be growing, right? So definitely in that sense, like definitely my reel grew. Like I would always kind of just like replace images for a while. Like this last one was the first time I actually like totally scratched it, because I was lazy before, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna build this from scratch.
Right.
I'm gonna relook at the footage, because I see the footage that I think is good differently now. So some of the shots I thought were fire before, I'm like, no, this doesn't help me, nor it's what I want to do at all. Like it's just a surfing shot that I thought was cool at a time, because I thought shooting a surfer was cool, when I'm not going to get jobs that shoot surfers right now. Like that's not what I do.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it too. And like also another huge thing about changing it up is it gives you an opportunity to market it again. So it's like, hey, blast it out to everybody. New reel, guys, check it out, blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of new stuff in there. Like that's actually a pretty fun thing to push out. Yeah. And you can actually get quite a bit of views on it. Like my jobs. And jobs. Like it's opportunity, right? People are like, oh yeah, this guy, he's amazing. Look at his new stuff. Right. Like that's another huge point to it. But yeah, you always want to be like current. Like even like it's probably, I don't know if, well, there's no rules to reels, but basically like if I do a shoot, you know, on a job, and I found a shot that's like, yeah, this has to be on my reel. Like now, as soon as the commercial comes out, like I'll just slide it in. Right. Won't really tell anyone. Just replace the link. No one will really know. And I'll do that once in a while, just to keep like a couple bangers in there that I'm constantly getting. But yeah, I think I'm gonna try maybe every year now, just to switch up the vibe of it. Right. Because cool. I'm changing as a director. Yeah, totally. And everyone's changing as a creator. Yeah. So the reel should probably change with you, or else it's not really speaking to who you are. And the amount of projects that can be done at this point in time, we're constantly kicking out new shit. And social grabs things and is over it right away. So it's like keeping a fresh pace of, this is what I just did. This is the illest shit. I mean, your next thing's going to be better than your last. Actually, a good point to just finish that off is like, I was looking for a DP a few days ago for this next job I'm doing. And this guy that I ended up booking, I was like, you know, I was looking at his website, and it's outdated, but you don't know that. And I was looking at his work, I'm like, you know, stuff kind of looks old and whatever. It's like, all right. But then I hit his Instagram, and I was like, oh, fire shit. Half of shit that's on here isn't on his reel. Yeah. It's not on his website. It's not in his reel. And that's also kind of a big fuck up, in my opinion, is like, if I didn't go to his Instagram, because I'm young, and that's the thing I think about, but you think about like a director of marketing, well, maybe hopefully a director of marketing would go on Instagram, but you know, an agency person, anyone, or at a brand that's maybe a little more old school, they might not think to go to your Instagram. Yeah. And I feel like people focus on that a lot more these days, where both should be equally important and equally up to date. Yeah, I'm totally with that shit. We I don't know if I said in the first attempt at recording the intro or the second, but we had the podcast that talked about your Instagram is your resume and how important it is, and everyone, I mean, you just said you just got booked through Instagram the other day, right, for a big job? The India job was through Instagram. Through Instagram. So I don't even have any followers, so that's wild. Yeah, but they'll find you. They can find you. But the problem is like, say my best work was I posted it, and then all of a sudden I share some personal shit on my IG.
all of a sudden that gets kind of pushed down. And if the client is coming to my Instagram and seeing just like maybe some, like they see my podcast stuff, you will go to my Instagram and you see me post 3 new podcast things. They just think I'm a podcaster. They don't know what I do beyond that. So it kind of sucks. It's like you set yourself up for failure unless you're only posting this exact thing you want to get booked for on your Instagram. But if you
I do.
You do.
Like, I focus on that.
Yeah.
So my Instagram is a very business oriented Instagram, and it reflects my website. So I treat them as like a similar entity kind of thing. They work together.
Totally.
Where like, but you know, on stories is kind of where I have more of my like personal life or behind the scenes. But on my Instagram, if you go to it, you'll see like I do these 3-row deals, and they're just jobs usually, or like my wife's birthday, I have to put that as a 3 rows, or else she doesn't think she's important. But it's like, you know, these 3-row jobs, and it's just my work that I think should be on there. Right. And usually that stuff will spike people to come to my Instagram and go to my website.
So your website, right? And there,
and hopefully it's like kind of easier to navigate where you can see it all at once on my website. Like, so that's the point.
Yeah, exactly.
You want it to be a quick process, but like a powerful process.
I love that. Ending on that.
Perfect.
Thanks for doing this, dude.
No worries.
I don't know why I thought we were gonna be able to do two back to back. I'm tired. It's our days off.
It's hard to talk.
I know, man. Cool. Make sure to follow I'll put all the links to Mike's shit on in the bio or whatever of this video and audio. And you should send him a little message and thank him for dropping some fucking gems on today's episode. This is fun.
Sounds good.
Thanks, man. Where are you going after this?
Like right now or like flying?
Right now. Like, do you have to go? Are you staying in Venice or something?
Manhattan Beach.
Vibes. All right.
That's where the office is.
How do you want to end this?
Well, if you have any questions, just hit me up. I love answering questions. So after the last podcast, it's cool. I met a lot of people, talked to a lot of people on the gram. So keep it up, and I'm happy to help.
And follow him. He needs more followers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta look cool. I'll never catch up to this kid. Holy.
I don't look cool anymore. All right. Bye.